Howdy-ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 540. Winning with the D feels good. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am the dashingest of hosts, Chris, and with me is my... Now, I'm the one that's under the weather because we have a hurricane coming through here, and you're supposedly under the weather. This is a very meteorological show today.
It is. I will lean on my meteorological training of many years ago. Yeah, I'm not well. Have a massive fever, although I'm like shivering, and it's not good. So we're gonna get through this.
We'll take care of you. And for me, the weather's it's already started. Blew my freaking umbrella inside out already.
So is it raining yet? Like
For those that didn't watch on YouTube, you missed the video. Sorry. I will be making hurricanes later.
I know my friend that owns a brewery in Tarpon Springs was very excited because Jim Cantori was camped out there. And so, Tommy, if you're listening, I hope he comes into your place because that'd be sweet.
Oh, my goodness.
Check out Unrefined Brewing if you're ever in Tarpon Springs, Florida.
Also known as tampon strings by the locals. All right, let's get into this. In today's show, we've got your warm-ups to get you hot, bothered, and ready. We've got injuries and replacements, and their replacements. We'll talk about that. Lions winning with the D. Jack is such a fox. A Seattle Seahawks game preview. Hit the like, subscribe, all that stuff. We got all that and a whole lot more. Riz, are you ready to go, my sick little buddy?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Shingles don't care, Riz. You're already getting it. Shingles don't care in the chat.
I love it. I'm supposed to get my shingles vaccine on Friday too. Like legitimately getting it. Because shingles doesn't care.
Oh man,
they're going in together to get it. That's great. I love y'all. That's great.
Oh, thank you, 2-Inch Crew. It's just a sweet name. I love that. 2-Inch Crew for the subscribe. Hit us with a subscribe. Hit us with a like. Appreciate that. Helps other people find us. Helps get us to get out to people that like to see us and haven't even found us yet. So there you go. Appreciate you for doing that and hitting that like and the subscribe button. Let's get into this. Warming up as everyone gathers for the beginning of the show. Warm-ups. Blowing the whistle on Mac's stupidity. Well, I'm loving to write these. I love writing these warm-up deals now.
There's two X's here. I might know what this is about.
First one, because there's always two, is about blowing the whistle, which, interestingly, a friend of mine wrote a book called Blowing the Whistle. He was the goaltender for the World Cup German national team in the 80s, both times. He was a goaltender, and he wrote a book called Blowing the Whistle, which made him very unpopular in the soccer community, foosball community. Anyway, he went by the name Tony Schumacher, but he wasn't a Formula One guy. Anyway, blowing the whistle. There's a lot of talk about a play and an interception that should have happened because the clock didn't run out, and it's just the controversy. The refs are always on the Lions' side, always throwing the game in the Lions' favor. This is bullshit. They're the darlings of the NFL, and somebody should do something. They can't keep getting away with this. Let's talk about that a little bit. I heard it, and we did do just a quick look at the timeline or the outline before we did the show today. I heard the whistle. I heard it in real time, and I was like, "Please stop! What? Why is this guy running to the end zone? Why is he running to the end zone? The play's over, right? I mean, that's where I was at from the start."
Yeah, so I did not hear it, and more to the point, in watching the play and the replay, the referee and the umpire didn't hear it either, and they let the play continue because they didn't hear the side judge running in. If you watch the referee, I forget who the ref was, but he's clearly like unaware that the play has stopped himself. Yeah. So that is probably where the confusion comes in because he is the ultimate guy that dead ball
waves off,
and he had to be told by his crew that like you saw them huddle up, and then he was like, yeah, the clock ran out. And it did. It was close.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit, right? We'll talk about that. But the bottom line is, the clock is, I think, a second issue that people complain about. But the first issue is they blew the whistle, the play was over, and you can tell the one ref, the side judge who came running in, Like
Yeah,
he blew the
did.
whistle. It was over. I heard it, and you could tell
Yeah.
the offensive line wasn't blocking. They knew, and Goff knew.
Yeah, you can see like that side of the field. It was the left side. So yeah, Decker was out there. Laporta was out there. They clearly like were, hey, okay, we're not moving.
Yeah, yeah. So there it is, right? That's where that is. It was over, so it wasn't a play. Now there's the complaint that, but look, dude, the clock wasn't at 0, and even for some people that are a little bit more honest, like it was like 1 tick at 0. There was they blew that whistle so fast, right? Remember, and we've heard this a million times. I see Brandon. Where was that 2 years ago against the Ravens? I see you, brother. Exactly the same thing. We've been told a million times that the clock on TV is different than the game clock by like half a second.
Official.
They're not aligned. They're not the same. They blew it. They blew it at 2 minutes. That was that. End of story.
Yeah.
So the play was blown dead before it was even a play because the clock happened. So the whistle stopped the play. Whether they got that right or not on the clock, fine. But they got it right on the clock because that clock is incorrect and you're making all your judgments in the wrong clock, just like we were told against the Ravens and against some other teams. It's happened 2 or 3 times to us in the last.
It has happened a
6
couple
years,
times. Yeah. The Ravens one is the big one because that was one that clock had clearly run out and gone an extra count. And Dean, friend of the show, Dean Blandino, in one of his frequent guest appearances, told us that they got that one wrong.
Yep. Yeah,
Thanks,
they absolutely did. Dino.
By the way, Dean is so good on the college football games. I love watching. He's so good.
He is. He is absolutely.
He is not like Mike Pereira as a complete shill and apologist for his old friends. He will let you know if the refs got it wrong.
Yeah.
Which is not what him or who's the guy on NBC? He's just not worth the time. I don't even think of who it is. But give me Dean all day.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Crowley. Right? Anyway, either way, Macaulay. That's it. Terry McAulay.
Terry McAulay. Thank you. That's it. Yep.
Crowley.
Yeah,
but one thing I will say
Mr.
about
Crowley.
Dean is his acting. He did a thing with Carissa Thompson ahead of the first game of the season this year. His acting has not improved at all since he did the skit with us. He's got one speed and one style, and it hasn't changed.
That's what Dean does. Dean is Dean. You gotta love it.
Oh man. Okay, so there you go. There's the first one, blowing the whistle. Now let's talk about the max stupidity. And I want to do a little bit of a I'm going to try to fix that in the background there. Brandon, hold on for me. They switched the stuff around on me. Sorry. Okay. All right. So let's do a little play acting here, Riz. Okay. I'm gonna take a roll.
Okay.
I want you to be Brad Holmes. People can't tell you two apart anyway in a parking lot. So I want you to be Brad Holmes.
That's right.
And then I'm going to take the role. I'm going to take the role of. I don't like it in division, like, but just for the game of it, I'm going to be the Vikings GM. Okay.
You're Quessy?
Yeah.
You look so much like Quessy.
Thank you. I mean, we both play the roles. I mean, well casted, right? I mean, this is
absolutely
Netflix tier right here. Netflix tier. All right, so let me.
This is Tubi.
Tubi tier. All right, I'm going to give you a call. All right.
Yeah. Whoa.
Holmes, what's up, man? How you doing?
What do you want? I got an injured full team here. I'm trying to get people in here. Let's go.
I know. I'm here to help you, bro. I'm here to help you. Look, you're 2-1, and you're staring down the barrel of a not just a pocket full of injuries. Your pants are full of injuries. I mean, you look down. There's nothing but hurt guys. All right, you guys aren't doing anything this year. You got nothing going for you. We got a need because we think we can do it this year. We want to make a trade with you. All right. We want you to give us. We want you to give us Aidan Hutchinson, and we're going to give you a boatload of draft picks. We don't even care how much you want. We'll pay anything because this is the year. It's a right now thing for us. But think about it, Holmes. Get a drink, man. Think about it. Because
oh my God,
you could take those draft picks. All kinds of draft picks. You could turn Aidan Hutchinson. You can rebuild this team into a monster with all those picks. Isn't that? I mean, you guys, you're not doing it this year. It's a lost cause. You don't have what you need. Trade Hutchinson for all those picks, man, and you'll be able to build a team within 2 years, 3 years. You'll be right on top.
Y'all don't drug test in Minnesota, do you, for GMs?
That's
whacked.
Those draft picks could be anything. You could even get like an Aidan Hutchinson.
Not in this draft. Not a good draft to need pass rushers this year.
So look, set us up. Anyone who's listened, put us in, nominate us for a Michigan Emmy, a Michigan Sports Emmy, because that acting was obviously well above anything Blandino's ever done.
It was so on point. It's right up there with the Wendy's commercial I did when I was in high school.
That's
fun times.
That's the Bananarama style of silliness on we're going to get Max Crosby. Why would the Raiders? Why would they do that?
Pointlessly dumb.
Oh God. So that's it. All you have to do is say, okay, let's trade Hutchinson. We're going to trade him because we're having a bad year. Would you do that? No, nobody would. No real,
of course not.
Half intelligent, breathing oxygen kind of human being who likes the Lions would do that. Why would they trade the cornerstone of a team with Max Crosby on a team that they think they're building?
They think they're going to the playoffs. They think they're the second best team in the AFC West, and they might be.
They might be. Yeah.
Denver sure as heck ain't it.
Well, I mean, they did take out Tampa Bay, so they're better than us, but by the transference property. Now, people say we might have a better chance at Hendrickson from Cincy. He is at the end of his
maybe
career. You might be able to get a one shot out of him. I'm not sure Holmes wants to give up anything though like that.
Yeah, and he's a guy that he wanted out this summer because he wanted to get paid. So you're coming in, and what's the first thing he does? Well, I'm not coming here unless you pay me.
Mm-hmm.
You can trade for me, but I'm not reporting until you pay me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Bengals, and somebody made this point in the Slack today. I thought it was a very good point. The Bengals are, and this is true, they are aware that this is probably the best team they're going to have around Joe Burrow. And they're 0-3.
Yeah.
Now, they've got some issues, but they're not above being fixed. Like they can get it going. It's going to be tough because Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cleveland's crashing and burning. But that division's not easy.
Yeah.
It's weird. But it's too early to know what they'll do with Hendrickson yet. Like if they're 0-5, 0-6, that's when you got to start like, okay, maybe it's time to acquire some draft picks here. So what would you give for Trey Hendrickson? You give a second and a fifth? So now you've got a first rounder and a fourth rounder and a sixth rounder. If you're Detroit, Brad Holmes going into the draft. What's Brad Holmes known for? Being the best damn drafter in the league. And you're taking away all those draft picks to get a 30-year-old that doesn't understand how to drop in coverage. He's a good player, but he's also limited in what he does. I will never forget being told that when this is like standard fare for like drop in coverage for defensive ends, he like looked at the coach and was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So the bottom line is it's silly talk. It's silly talk and it's not even really worth engaging in. If I'm wrong, I will eat a medium steak from the grill with a side of fingerling potatoes. I'm taking it to the extreme here, and a glass of wine and a better glass than this one, maybe. But it ain't gonna happen. It just isn't gonna happen.
It's just not. It's not.
So
I mean, I get that it's fun to think about it and dream, and everybody plays Madden, and it's cool to do that because you can do it in Madden. You can force a trade. When has Brad Holmes ever given you any inclination that he is the let's go all in and sacrifice all of our draft picks for one guy thing?
Yeah.
What was the big movie made last year? DPJ. How's that working out?
Because
might be a little, once bitten, twice shy, 3 times a lady, baby.
Every year is the year the team can win, but no year is the year that we're going to mortgage to try to win. I think that's kind of sums up his mentality with this. They're not, because next year they could win, and the year after they could win if they have their draft picks.
Yes, they can.
They could, if they have their continue to build. The idea that you can't pay some of these guys. I mean, people keep talking. You're never going to be able to afford a Liam and Goff and Sewell and all the guys, right? He makes it happen because they grow the guys they draft. And if they don't, they move them on. And Hawkinson, they move them on and they draft somebody else. It's just the way it works. So that's it. It's just a warm up. We did want to do our Emmy nominated acting show, but
it was good. It was
soon to be Emmy nominated.
Special.
So anyway, I wouldn't. It's not worth. I mean, sure, I guess it's fun, but it's silly to talk about it. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions team. It is very, very true that the injuries were just absolutely vicious in Arizona. Boy, I hate to say it. But hey, Jared, there were some gut punches in there. There's a couple of gut punches there. All right, let's start out. Let's talk about who's out, who could be out, and then who may play in their place, in their stead, as it were. All right. Yes. So we're going to start first. It was ugly. Oh, God, if you didn't see it, don't watch it. It's one of those things bend the wrong way videos, and those always make me uncomfortable. Don't get not disenfranchised. Don't get desensitized to that kind of stuff. Just don't look for it. If it's up, just scroll on past doom scroll. It's an elbow.
Avoid the snuff.
Marcus Davenport. He's an elbow, and that's it for the season. Yeah. He's done. It was an ugly one. Who can we put in there besides Max Crosby? Who's gonna fill the gap left by Marcus Davenport? So put a couple guys out there.
All right.
Let me put a couple guys, and so I'm trying to talk a little more, so you can talk a little less, Riz, and then I'll give you the floor after I do it.
That's good.
I'm going to put some stuff out there, and then you can shoot down whatever you want, rather than have to do the whole elaboration thing from the beginning. All right. So I look at a couple of guys. I think Josh Pascal is one of the guys. It's time for him to come and show up and do his thing, and this is his year to do it. So he's a guy that could probably step in, and they hope to see him take that next step. Another guy who isn't Marcus Davenport but could play the position is a James Houston. Would love to see him blow up finally and come back to where we think he could be, but we haven't quite seen yet. And then maybe even a little of the big man, the gorgeous Levi Onwuzurike. He's played a little bit there. There's a chance we could see him a couple times playing out there on the edge. That's my thinking, Mr. Riz. Talk to us. What do you think?
So we have a dry run on this because Davenport was out week 2. Yes. Who got the start? Levi did.
Yep.
Playing out there.
Yep.
Pascal did play more than normal. James Houston was active. He played 3 snaps. Doesn't portend well for him, unfortunately. So I'm going to guess that they use Levi to go with the giant crush the can type of thing, and that's what Dan wants. That's what he said. Marcus Davenport was the perfect crush the can rusher. That's exactly what they want in their defense. Well, Pascal is trying. He's not being very successful at crushing the can. He's sort of like pulling the tab off, but not smashing it down. Houston runs around the can. That's what he does. This is a tough one, too, because it's Seattle. And Seattle loves to, throw little buzz routes right behind the linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good mix if you're not good in coverage. And that's not James Houston's forte, especially with Derek Barnes out. So normally I would have said that Derek Barnes would be the guy. Okay, they're going to rush him more. They've been running not a lot. It's basically a 5-man front. It's really a 4 with Barnes walked up as a 5th. And that was working pretty well. But now that's out too, because we'll get the Barnes. But I think you're going to see a lot of Levi. And I think that means, Pascal will come in some. I think you're going to see more of Kyle Pecco on the defensive line inside. When Bromart finally gets healthy and active after the bye, there's a chance we could see him in there getting more reps. Chris Smith will probably get some reps as well. He was up game 1, then got cut and they signed Pico to the active roster, and he's back in the practice squad. But he played okay. He had a decent summer. So I can see them going heavy up front. And there's a side benefit of that it keeps the linebackers cleaner, which means that they have less to worry about. And when you're missing, Anzalone will be back. No question about that. But Barnes is out. You're going to be playing a lot more. Well, let's go. Let's talk about
Derek Barnes is next.
Derek Barnes
With a knee. Another one. Maybe be back this season.
I hope so.
Yeah, he was so good to see him coming into his own and finding his getting that boiler making, and just wasn't
nicely done.
Thank you. Wasn't to be here with that injury. So the one thing we are is deep at linebacker. Unlike when we used to get the thumpers back in the Patricia era and be so linebacker heavy, but with bad linebackers, we're actually deep with good linebackers. Ancelone, Captain Ancelone should be back this week, as well as Germ, Reeves Maben. And I have a feeling, those are the guys that we're going to see kind of step into that kind of Sammy role. And we'll see some of the juice out of them. And, you'll probably see Campbell with the green dot up in the mid and running the D there. That's kind of how I see.
He played well in Arizona, too. He played very well in Arizona. Yeah. That was probably Jack Campbell's best all-around game. That was nice to see.
So I got a little bit out of him. He was a little bit less than I thought he was going to be as a player on the field, but coupled with the fact that he was QB in the defense and had to do all that on top of it, I felt like it was actually better than he's played before, if that makes sense, right? Because you're adding all that extra work onto him. But
yeah. Higher degree of difficulty, and he almost nailed the landing.
Yeah, there you go.
It was Simone Biles. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you. So anything different for the Derek Barnes front? Do you see someone backing him up or stuff?
So this is where they haven't filled that roster spot yet. They signed Tim Patrick to the active roster. He is wide receiver 3 now. They made that very clear in the way that they played their receivers last game. But they still have an opening on defense, and it could be Mitchell Agude. It could be Isaac Ukwu. You could see Trevor Nowaski, who's been a healthy scratch. They've been cross-training him as the Sam, and I don't know how that's going. But when they brought him back, I know that was one of the things that they were working on him with was like, hey, you sort of played this at Saginaw Valley, kind of, but not kind of. So I wonder if he'll get a look or at least be active for this game against Seattle. But we'll see on that one. That one's tough because Barnes is a unique player.
Yeah.
And they tried Agude this summer, and it's just not what he is. He's okay. He was certainly better than Houston or Ukwu at it. And oh my God, Matthew Betts, good Lord. That was hard to watch. But
all bets are off.
All bets are indeed off. Good for him for going back to Canada, though. I hear he's playing well. I haven't actually watched any CFL yet this year, but nice for him to be back up there. But yeah, this is a tough one. And Barnes never left the field. So you're looking at a pretty integral piece of the defense. And Jack Campbell, they tried him last year at it. He wasn't good there either. It's kind of a unique role that was tailored to Barnes' specific set of skills. And I wonder if they'll just bag it, and play more straight 4-3 or 4-2-5 and maybe, get an extra safety on the field and sort of bag linebacker if he was ever healthy, which it doesn't appear is going to be happening this week either. He'd be great in that buzz box safety role. He was great at the end of last year, but dude's he's missed 22 of the last 40 games for the Lions. Can't rely on that. You just can't.
Yep. Yeah, sure. All right. Let's talk about this. So Derek Barnes, Marcus Davenport, they're going to be gone for a bit. Yeah. Marcus out for the season, Derek for a bit, if not the season. We have another guy who's likely not to play this week, although if you ask him, he's already ready to play, and he's probably sitting at home in his fucking pads with his cleats on, sitting on the toilet. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go any minute. I don't care. Frank, the original Tank, Ragnow, slightly torn pec. This is a tough one. It's a tough one to replace. Yeah. He's so good. Such a monster, man. Just such a heart on that guy. And I mean, impossible not to love him. Looking at so here's what I'm seeing, Riz. I'm seeing Graham Glasgow as a potential backup at center and potentially Yodi Awosika. Yode's a guy that I think could potentially step in and do a little bit of ragging now or ragging later from the center position.
All right. So I think all of Detroit has collectively forgotten that Michael Neese is on this roster. And they made him make the roster this summer because he is a backup center. He plays center. What's the injury? Center. They don't want to, and I was told this by a coach on the staff this summer. They did not want Graham Glasgow kicking into center and shuffling multiple pieces if Ragnow couldn't go. They wanted a center.
Yeah.
Leave Graham at left guard where he's occasionally pretty good. Most of the time is average. Did not play well in Arizona. Did not play well at all, actually, in Arizona. But he has his moments. He knows what he's doing at guard.
And this year he's not what he was last year.
He's
after
not.
3 games.
And some of that's because he moved from the right to the left.
Yeah,
exactly. Kevin Zeitler has seniority on him as like he's only ever played right guard. And by the way, Zeitler had the best game I've seen from him in a very long time. Baltimore, New York, or otherwise in Arizona. He was phenomenal, which is good because he was not good the first couple of weeks. Like he kicked it in. So yeah, it's going to be Michael Neese unless I was lied to by a coach who helps make those decisions. I'm going to trust that coach.
Trust him. Yeah,
now,
I agree.
And just with that, Kingsley Agukun made the practice squad as an undrafted rookie from Florida. Go Gators. And he will probably get called up, I would guess, if Frank can't go. Because remember, Sorsdal is only playing tackle now. He's not a guard anymore. Like that experiment ended. That was James Houston playing Sam. Like it's not in the cards. So yeah, Yode played in the playoffs last year. He wasn't a liability, but this is a team that needs their line to be an asset, and not a liability. Because in Tampa, or when they played Tampa, the line was something of a liability. And that did not go well for Jared Goff at all.
I got to give a quick shout out and laugh to Jordy Manchin. I want to see Skipper at center. that strikes me as quite hilarious. I love it. Thanks for laughing, brother. I know he's laughing. He's laughing about it too. He's not serious.
Yeah, he should be. That's funny. 6'10" center.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's Skipper. By the way, Skipper played. Skipper played. Let's say 15 snaps Sunday.
Yeah.
And he got hurt on like the second play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and came back in and played pretty well. They had not used the extra tackle at all. And in the first 2 games, and then they went out and did it, and it worked.
Like they said, like Decker was saying, if we can get 4 yards on the first run, then we're going big all day, and we're going to crush them. And they did. I mean, we can talk about it, but if I kind of check out the numbers, we had 187 rushing yards, more rushing yards than passing yards by 1. And only allowed them 77. We just bashed them in the face, man. It was great. I love it. I love it. I love this kind of football. All right, Frank the Tank Ragnow. He'll tell you he's playing.
I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't play this week. Let him get that rest
with a week 5 rest break. You know what I mean? Couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah.
You know up until this week we were crying about the week 5 bye. Right now, it feels pretty good. Feels pretty good.
I'll take it.
All right, let's get into some of the guys that are day to day.
All right.
Sammy the Sporter Laporta, low ankle sprain, which is good news versus a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, he got hurt blocking on the flea flicker touchdown.
Later.
Hook and ladder touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful play. God, that was great. Loved it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing, there's they got some great plays in the book. I'm surprised they pulled that out this early, but it just tells you They've got a stack of them. They've got a stack of that brilliance just waiting to throw at these teams. So
they absolutely needed that one too. That was the last points they scored.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's no fooling after that. So Sam Laporta, low ankle. That was another one that's kind of hard to watch. Lucky that it was just that ankle like that. But you're looking at someone who got a lot of work, more work than I remember seeing him get in a very, very long time. Brock Wright. Lot of passes, played well, sure hands out there, really looked good. I'm he gets 2 thumbs up from my wife's in the looks department, so he's got that going for him. Brock Wright, big winner this week, and just in time to show his stuff that he can carry that role, because it looks like he may have to if Sammy the Sporter Laporta can't make it. Shane Zylstra seems like another potential, the other tight end across the line.
Well, they got Parker Hesse too. They don't really throw to Parker though. Yeah. He's been like their fullback. He played in the jumbo packages. I don't think he's been thrown a pass yet this year.
I saw a boo-boo in one of the running plays when he was playing fullback, where he just kind of ate some dirt.
Yeah,
for the fun of it.
The collective tight end and wide receiver blocking in this game was less than to be desired, and I think Laporta specifically really stunk at it. But I think some of it was the fact that he couldn't plant his foot. How do you? It's hard to drive block somebody when you can't walk.
Oh man. Oh my God. Ross, thank you. You got to know the signs. And Ross coming in as a hero, saying, Chris, you only have to worry if she starts calling him Big Cock Brock. So I'll keep my ears open. If I hear that, I'll know it's time to start hiding the money. All right, let's get into the next one.
He's a good-looking dude. He's easy on the eyes.
Yeah. All right,
not Brady Quinn, but who is?
Let's move in. We've got Don Burr out there with it's a lot of guys, key guys we could potentially be without. Let's talk about another key guy we could potentially be without, unfortunately.
We have two. Jesus.
2 more. This one with a shoulder, we like to call him Slim, Aleem McNeil. What do we got? Mecky Wingo?
Yes. Yeah.
Now he's
especially
as well.
If yeah, he is. Especially if Levi is playing more on that outside role. You can see Calpecco a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he the problem is that he and Reeder are redundant, and neither one of them is a pass rusher, like, at all. And I know people are dogging on Aleem, like, oh, he's taking the year off because he didn't want to get hurt. Well, no, he got hurt. He was trying very hard. He just wasn't getting sacks. He was getting some pressures.
He was playing his role
pretty well.
Other guys were getting sacks because he was doing his part. And that's the thing. Right. You don't, if you play as a good team on any line, you may not get the love, but you're just as important a part of that in your play, because you have a role. It's a group effort. And the what is it, the Wario? Is it Wario or Waluigi that Aidan's doing all the time? I forget. That role is Aidan's. That's Hutchinson's role, right? It's nobody else's role. He
gets the sacks.
Yeah, and that's what it's built for. So we'll see.
Yeah. So it's going to be a tough one, because
really like to have Aleem back. Put it that way.
Yeah, it would be nice to have Bromart, but he's still out. He won't be back till after the bye. Mm-hmm. He's on IR, so yeah, they're going to be thin this week against a Seattle team that can run a little bit. So
yeah,
it's suboptimal. But again, Pecco was a veteran. He knows how to play. He's just not going to get any pass rush push, and that's not what Reeder does either. Reeder doesn't go backwards. He doesn't actually go forwards all that much these days.
He just eats dudes.
He's playing good, though.
He eats dudes up.
He's playing really well.
Yeah.
He's one of the reasons why Anzalone and Campbell are both playing very well behind him. That is not a coincidence.
Right. I agree with that. All right, last one, and this is a big one. He's really turned into one of my favorite players on the team, and this it hurts even more. Brian Branch. Concussion protocol, day to day.
Yeah.
Could play the way they kept Anzalone out, though. I worry I don't want to say I worry. I worry for the success of the team. They may do the same thing for him, but absolutely take care of that melon, whatever it takes. I want to be very, very, very sensitive about that. So, Brian Branch, day to day. So what do we got? We got Brandon Josephus out there potentially. And then, I mean, his name says it all. Iffy?
You can't count on that. No. They haven't had a practice this week yet because it's Monday night. So their first practice will be this is Wednesday night, right? Yeah, it's still Wednesday. Thursday is Wednesday this week, based on the normal schedule. So we'll find out tomorrow if he practices. I've been told don't count on it any more than a limited participation. It sounds like they want him to test it and see where he's at. We'll see what happens with that. I got that information on Monday, so who knows? But he would be great because he would play a nice role against what he does well, matches up well with what they need at safety against the Seahawks specifically.
Yeah.
So it'd be great if he could get in, but again, dude's always hurt. He's Marcus Davenport playing safety. Like that's unfortunately what he's become. You can't rely on that. They cringe at the people who wanted to pay him a max contract this offseason. Like, no, that's not what you do.
Do you know if McBride got fined for that hit?
Fines come out Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. There you go.
He should have been penalized because he did lower the head and initiate 100%. The contact with his head. 100%. So I agree with that.
100%. Brian Branch is one of those guys who you say both his first name and his last name, not just his last name. I think that's true. Brian Branch. It's always Brian Branch. He deserves respect. Both names. Yeah. Brian Branch.
He played so good.
I love him. I love that man. He is so
he was really, really good as a slot last year. Playing the safety role he's in. Good. Yeah. I don't want to say all pro because Kyle Hamilton and Jesse Bates exist, but Pro Bowl for sure. Like, no doubt about it.
Here you go. Unless your girl calls
him Big Cock, too.
Unless your girl calls him Big Cock Branch. All these guys. What's going on in my house?
My God. Good Lord.
Jiminy Christmas. All right. There you go. That's the injuries. That's the potential replacements. You got Davenport and Barnes for sure out. Yeah. Frank Ragnow potentially out at least this week. Sam Laporta, Ali McNeil, Brian Branch, all day-to-day possible, but we have no real information on whether they're going to be there or not. So we will have to see with that. All right.
You can also see, real quick at safety, Lawrence Strickland could play in there too. The undrafted rookie. He's healthy again. I think. I haven't actually talked to anybody about him in a while. So I think he was.
Next topic.
He is kind of iffy light. So
Detroit Lions feel good winning with the D. Riz, just a really quick question to carry over from the post-game show. Do you like the D?
I love the D.
There you go. And the Detroit Lions feel good winning with the D because their names are all Big Cock, whatever. Hodges, wouldn't that be Big Cock Trunk? Forget Little Branch.
Oh my God. It's just gone way off the rails. Holy crap.
No, it went off Sunday pretty bad. We were in a very celebratory mood, we'll say. Let's talk about it.
Oh boy.
How weird is this to be as a Lions fan to have a team that is winning games because of the defensive side of the ball? I mean, it's been since 2011 maybe was different, maybe 14.
Yeah, 11 and 12, the defense was good. Yeah.
Other than that, it's been always a quarterback that's had to carry this team to victory. Yeah. It had to be the offense. It had to be, had way back in the day, Megatron, right? Now it's the defense. And I want to just start by saying, you people that were dogging on AG and saying he had to go last year, I think you need to go. No, not really. But I think you need to rethink your life choices.
I was going to say, that's a little harsh.
Rethink your life choices. I would say,
what have we consistently said, Chris, that AG has not had talent at his disposal?
And we knew
that doesn't excuse some of his coaching ineptitudes. but I think we're seeing a guy that understands what he's got pretty well. He played too much zone against Tampa, and it burned him.
Yeah.
I love what they did last week. Kyler Murray, you want to run? Do it. We dare you. Now they did leave Jack Campbell in as a spy, even though don't call it a spy because Aaron Glenn. It's not a spy. It's not a spy, even though Campbell was playing a spy. He was. Sorry, AG, but it felt like Kyler was like, okay, they want me to run. I'm going to show these guys that I can throw, and he couldn't. Yeah. So coverage was massive, dude. Terrion Arnold, and I don't tend to do this often, but I broke down every play of Terrion Arnold. I condensed it into about 850 words on what he did in this game. It's up at LionsWire. Check it out. He was really, really good, specifically against Marvin Harrison. And I know that the PFF grade is off. And I will tell you that what I watched in tracking him around the field does not mesh statistically with what happened in the game, according to PFF. So
interesting.
He was certainly better than Carlton Davis. He was better than Amik Robertson. I dare say he was the best player in the secondary, not named Brian Branch. I thought he played a great game. And Kirby played well too.
Yeah.
But Terrion, other than the pass interference, and I want to talk about this real quick. This is a play, letter of the law as pass interference, and you better believe that if that happened to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lions fans would have been like, that's pass interference, throw the fucking flag!
They're too worried about the Hutch trade that just happened with Minnesota, though.
Oh, that could be, yeah. Oh, yeah. Can we stop with the mythical trades? It's like, oh my God, clickbait. It's like verbal clickbait.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's plenty of it written too.
Yeah, I actually wrote it that it was the equivalent of clickbait. So yeah, it is. That's all it is. If you don't like clickbait, don't click on that shit. Yeah. Then we won't write it.
Detroit Fan Man says we were just a year late on the Riz prediction. Last year, he guessed the D would be higher ranked than the O. Now here we are. Well, the team was a year late. Riz was a year early. And it's just the team can't keep up with Riz. That's all.
I misfired. That sounded bad. I was premature.
We're talking about winning with a D.
Chris, I know you're trying so hard.
We're talking about winning with a D. And
I know.
I'm trying to be an adult. I'm trying to be a sensible, responsible adult.
I'm testing you, my friend. Yeah. This year, the defense looks really well coordinated, other than zone coverage, where they still have some things to work out. But the pass rush works. They're getting scheme up front. They are the number one run defense. The running backs in the league again. Mm-hmm. They did that last year. It's better this year. Mm-hmm. 13 carries, 32 yards against Arizona, a team that came in averaging 5.1 yards per carry with their running backs. Mm-hmm. Shut that crap down, man.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That's what this Detroit team does. And that I said this when I was on the Huge Show last week. When the opponent is in 2nd and 9 and 3rd and 8, it first off, it opens up your pass rush because you know they're not going to run. Secondly, it allows you to okay, they can complete an underneath pass. Let's come up and attack and tackle. And they did that a couple times in this game. It's liberating for how much they can do defensively. They can take some risks on it. It's not 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 9.
One of the things that I haven't heard talked about much, and this is a significant stat from the game, time of possession. The Detroit Lions had almost 15 minutes more. They had 13 minutes more time, almost a quarter of the game, more time of possession than the Cardinals.
Arizona.
That's on the defense and on that run game. Those two things are what extended that ownership of the ball. And anytime they don't have the ball, means it's going to be really hard for them to score. And that the defense has just, we talked about it. We've talked about it and talked about it. The team, it was get the quarterback, get the offensive weapons, get the defensive weeks, and then you
build that line up.
Yep. And that's what's happened. And Aaron Glenn, they people last year were like, Campbell's only holding on to Glenn because he's his friend, right? Well, maybe that friendship was what allowed Aaron Glenn to know that he was going to have light at the end of the tunnel once everything else was in place, and was what made him patient enough to see the way to this year when he has the talent to work the defense that he wants to work. There may be something to that. And, friendship can work in a positive way and a negative way. In this year, it seemed to work in a positive way. I think it worked in a positive way with Aylin too. I mean, they were friends. Campbell and Aylin were friends, and Campbell still set him down as a friend and started doing the offense himself and with some Ben Johnson and some other people. And then Ben Johnson took over. I mean, that all happened because he made the decision on a friend. People that were saying that Campbell didn't have the sack or wouldn't make decisions that were tough with Aaron Glenn because he's a friend kind of missed the whole Aylin story and kind of or conveniently forgot about it, right? Could be that there was maybe a plan.
I mean, we all try to block that year out. That was a rough year.
I'm with you. But that's there you go.
I agree with you, Chris. Good point.
There we stand on the D, in the D. Defense. The Lions are a defensive monster. Love it. Love it. All right. We're going to get into the next topic here. We're going to get Riz out of here with a voice still intact. Jack is such a fox. Jack Fox, the most gorgeous foot in the NFL. My goodness, my man has an average.
I don't even know. I'm wearing an appropriate shirt. It's from Jamie Gillen, who's the punter for the Giants from when he was in Cleveland. I befriended him there. And this was from a local t-shirt shop in my hometown of Vermilion, Ohio. If you're there for the Woolly Bear Festival this weekend, please check out Zabo Apparel. They have shirts like this and many more. It's a great place to go.
I'm not sure anybody listening to this is at the Woolly Bear Festival, just so you know. Anyway.
They should be. They should be. We're off Monday. We play Monday night. You're off Sunday. If you want to drive down, it is the largest single-day festival in the Midwest.
I'm off tomorrow drinking hurricanes for the hurricane and eating nachos. All right, let me talk about Jack Fox and why he's such a gorgeous, gorgeous man with a foot of gold. Averaging 44 yards. 8 of his punts have been inside the 20, with his 4th in the league. And he, sir, is your special teams player of the week. Jack Fox, congratulations, mister.
He was great.
What a freaking weapon. What a freaking weapon to have a punter like that. And people always say, if I have to punt, it's so bad. When you have a punter like Jack, he is absolutely a field position monstrosity. Love him.
Chris, he punted 5 times in this game. The furthest they started from the end zone was the 12-yard line. Now, he put one into the end zone, but there was a penalty on the Cardinals, so they got it to 10. So 5 drives by Jack Fox started inside the 12. They didn't score on any of them. That allows Dan Campbell to say, hey, let's go with this defense. Like now, they've got to go a hell of a long way. That, again, it allows the defense to be more liberated, more open. They can do things. They can attack a little bit.
Yeah.
And they did. That changes the calculus a little bit. Like if it's, let's say it's 4th and 4 from the 50.
It's 4th and 4 from the 50. Oh, sorry.
All right.
I didn't mean that literally. Sorry.
Well played. Now you can punt it, knowing that the opposing team is going to get the ball at the 6. And your defense comes out. And they're going to get a 3 and out, and you're going to get the ball back at the 45 or your own 40 maybe. Like that didn't happen in the past because Fox quietly didn't have a good year last year. He's back with a fucking vengeance this year, which is great.
He absolutely
He wasn't great last year. This year he's phenomenal. And it's weird because we're in a golden age of punting, Chris. Yeah. There's some incredible punting talent in the NFL right now. And he's one of them.
Just absolutely amazed at how we've made this shift from where we had an embarrassment of riches at the kicker, and then the Nate Freeze era happened. We had a brief respite brief period of respite with Matt Prater, who we faced off against this weekend. But it's been a little nerve-wracking, right? It's been enough to just keep you nervous every time a ball's out there for a kick. Yet all that kicking karma has rolled into the punter's leg suddenly, right? He's so pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good.
He is.
So there we go.
They're special and special shout out to Khalil Dorsey for downing one of the punts and forcing the fair catch on 2 others. Yep. He did all of those. Good for Khalil. One thing that I noticed, they left a lot of the starting defense out on the punt, or when Arizona punted, which was interesting to me. That was, I wonder if they were worried about a fake or something. I don't know. That's the other side of the ball, but that's special teams other than Jake Bates yakking the extra point. And I watched it, and just from playing golf and being all over the place off the tee, I can tell you he got his plant foot too close to the ball and overcorrected, and that's why it went. Phew.
With all the injuries, the health and development guy got a game ball. Fox should have gotten one too. Fox is the best free agent signing besides Monty. And here's one, Peaceful Tim. Fox was a great backup quarterback last year. No shade, Riz. And he was this year too.
I'm
just going to go back and remind people, no one seemed to have a problem doing the fake from the 20 this last time. No one seemed to have a problem with that. That's it. Right. Okay. Hernando, what up, Doe? He's got a super chat. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. Yeah. Do you think Goff still has that clutch gene?
He was perfect. He was literally perfect in the first half when they needed it. Now, in the second half, they didn't necessarily need it, but he made a couple of really good throws. No, he wasn't. He threw a really bad interception, and he missed J-Mo on a throw that I'm going to put a little of that on J-Mo because he didn't decelerate very well, but the throw was out of bounds regardless. But he made that throw that he made to Amon-Ra to move the sticks. That's a clutch throw, man. Yeah. That's not a throw that I've seen other quarterbacks make.
Those are throws we never used to make, bro. And when you see it, I don't know if you feel that joy, that elation, it's still, to me, I'm like, it's something new. It's so, my insides get so warm. It's so nice.
Yeah, I think part of why they focused on building up the defense is so Goff doesn't have to win a lot of those situations and games. Yep. Can he lead a game-winning drive? Yeah, I think he can. It's going to require good line play. I think that seems to be the secret sauce because they did not play well in Tampa and they lost, and that's not a coincidence. But the line was a lot better in this game. Decker got beat once. Every single person on social media let me know that he got beat on that play. Just have that same energy when he shuts down the entire rest. That was the only pressure he allowed the entire game. But no, he sucks. He's got to go.
Maybe we could get Max Crosby for him.
Maybe they could use well. Actually, you know what? I'll give the Cardinals a little bit of credit. Their offensive line isn't bad. They're getting better. I still think that's a good football team, don't you, Chris? I think they can make the playoffs. It's going to be dicey. Kyler's got to play better. Kyler didn't have a good game.
No. Well, I think the NFL, people are talking about the NFL is having an officiating problem and a bad football problem. I'm telling you, I think this preseason, the changes in the preseason have affected the first couple weeks of football. It used to be like week 1 was fool's gold. It's all over the map right now. It's really like a wobbly bowl of jelly. Nothing. I don't think you can make after the first 3 weeks. I don't think you can make any statements of certainty about who's a good team and who's a bad team right now. Because I think that the Minnesota Vikings just as easily could wind up at the bottom of the NFC North by the end of the season as they're in first place right now. It's silly. It's silly what's happening, and I don't know if that makes for better football or not. You should mute and leave your camera on. Oh, okay. So I think
we're back.
Yeah.
There's the mute. Okay. Sorry. I'm back.
You didn't mute. You just turned the camera off, so you're hacking along in the back. I'm like, I said you should mute and leave the camera on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, because I'm not well, man.
Man. Okay.
It's not been pleasant.
We'll get through this, brother. I appreciate you.
I got a trash can full of Kleenexes down there, and none of them are celebratory. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't see any hand lotion in the screen there. So, all right, let's get to so a lot of love for Jack Fox. He's got it. He's going on. And
this is what I've got at my disposal. I got a lighter. Got my scented candles to try to help me get better.
There you go. Hippie. All right, let's get to it. Jack Fox is the man. Now we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions versus the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to do a preview. It's the grit of Detroit and the Risden hippies of the West Coast. Let's talk about what's going on in this game.
My mom was a hippie.
Yeah, I know. You know, Riz, everything has a little tinge, right, of something.
It does.
Never serious, but always a tinge of something.
I grew up listening to that shit, unfortunately.
Let's A for effort, Jeff. I'm a Detroit fan, man. There you go.
Thank you.
Let's start with the odds. I just
Really
checked the
fucking
odds
you.
before the game, and the odds for the Lions are at minus 225 at BetMGM. So that's a pretty solid. The Lions are going to beat the Seahawks kind of line for this game. I believe it was the money line for Seattle was like plus 150. That's a pretty solid line. That's a lot more solid than I think for these Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
As we go, I'm going to just to do a little story about this game. And this is where I think the Lions are going to find a little bit of themselves. And I say that, I'm going to throw back to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay coming into Detroit had lost 10 of the last 12 games against Detroit prior to that. It was a point of embarrassment, actually. And Mayfield was fired the F up for pride to bring a win. They lost twice last year. It was a takeover of their home, and then they're embarrassed at Ford Field. He wanted to beat the Detroit Lions because it was a statement game for that team. And then they went on to Denver, but whatever. So that was the thing. I feel like this is very much a similar situation for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions against the Seattle Seahawks. We've had a rough go with the Seahawks at home and away. I don't know what the last 10, the record is, but it's got to be heavily in favor of the Seahawks. I think that this is one of those games where the Detroit Lions, they're in a way, the line says they're expected to win, but I think there's a lot of people that are counting the Lions out a little bit for this game because it's the Seahawks and how good the Seahawks have done against them. I think there's an element of pride here, and I think there's an element of grit in that locker room facing the injuries and coming out of that to say we're deep and we're different and we're going to come and we're going to punch these Seahawks, these undefeated Seahawks, straight in the beak. So I think this is a real statement game for the Lions, and I think that's what gives them.
We lose them so much.
I know. That's what gives them, I think, that little bit of inspiration beyond, your love of the game and the paycheck and everything else associated with it. There's a little bit something extra for the Lions this week, kind of like Tampa had against the Lions 2 weeks ago. That's kind of the setup for the game in my mind, Riz. Where's your head at?
I think they're 3-0, but there's a big asterisk with a 3-0. They played Bo Nix in his first game. They played the Patriots, who I think most people would say are probably the worst team in the AFC. Now, they do have a win, so you can't dog them too much, but like they had the lowest preseason win total over under. The Patriots did, and the Panthers. The Panthers are certainly going to hit that, although they won. And then last week they played Miami without Tua, and it was very clear that the Dolphins didn't give a crap. Very clear. They knew they were done before they walked on the field, and that I had not seen a team show up or not show up like that since I was covering the Browns in the Hugh Jackson year, where they're like, get this clown out of here. We are not going to win with this guy. We have no chance. Let's just try not to get hurt. That's exactly what the Dolphins looked like last week. So I don't want to.
Yeah. That Tua thing is just so fundamentally, foundationally. I feel bad for the guy because he's obviously.
I do too.
Look, there's bad luck there. I get it, but it really. I'm not a medical professional, so take this with a grain of salt. But he seems like he's pre-wired, predestined for concussions. Like he's wired in favor.
Yeah, like predisposed for it. Yeah.
Predisposed is the word I was looking for. Thank you. like there's something about him physically, about the way he falls. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like his brain's a little smaller inside the skull, and so it rattles more. I don't know, right? A little less fluid than most people. I don't know. It just seems like he has a predisposition toward being concussed, and I feel terrible for the guy. I hope, for his sake, he's got all the money he needs. He's got all the money anybody needs. I hope for his sake he says, I'm taking my family, I'm taking my life, and I'm moving on. Maybe I'm going to go work in the booth. Maybe I'm going to do something else, but I'm not putting this noodle at risk anymore for the game. And look, he's not my quarterback. I was never a huge fan, but as a man, I just hope he does the smart thing and walks away, man.
Well said. And by the way, Tim Boyle played half that game for Miami at quarterback. We know what that looks like.
Let Tim Boyle, baby.
So I'm not going to diminish the Seahawks' accomplishment of winning that game. I think they won 24-3, but understand the context in which they produced that victory.
Yeah,
they're a solid football team. Geno Smith's playing great, and that's regardless of he looks good. DK Metcalf's a problem. Their offensive line is healthy and playing okay. Better than they were last year when they came in and beat us. They've won 9 of the last 10. We have not beaten them since 2012. That sucks. Now that includes the illegal batting by was that KJ Wright?
Yeah.
So many.
And
it's a different coach too. It's Mike McDonald,
finally,
who came from the Ravens. Yep. It's not Pete Carroll.
I hate Pete Carroll.
They play an aggressive, and I'm actually looking forward to the challenge of the run game in this one. And it's going to hurt because Ragnow isn't in there. Their defensive front is really active, and they do a lot of stunts. They do a lot of angled things. Like they got a lot of juice up front. And they also have Devon Witherspoon. They have really good cover corners. They're a tough matchup. This is a game where you probably go in and think if the Lions win this game, it's going to be on their defense again, making a play, getting a takeaway. Jack Fox winning the field position flip. By the way, they have a really good punter in Seattle too. A lot of teams do. So I know, and I'm guilty of it too, there's a tendency to look at the schedule that Seattle has played and be like, oh, they can't keep this up. But at the same time, like, worse Seattle teams than this have beaten Lions teams before. They beat us last year. Week 2 was not pretty. It was that was the game. Afterwards, I went out to the beach, and Ash had to clean up my audio because I recorded from the beach.
Yeah. You did the
he
long
was so
walk.
mad at me.
The 1,000-yard stare, yeah.
I did.
It's not supposed to be like that.
Thought he was going to come through and shoot Canadian insults at me all day.
He's still looking for you.
Yeah, he probably is. I'm easy to find. I'm crashing into the bed here shortly. I do think that they can win this game. But
what's the keys? What's the keys for the Lions winning this game? What do they have to do?
They gotta get Geno uncomfortable, because when he's uncomfortable, he doesn't make the best decisions. He's kind of like Goff in that way. Yeah. Actually, and I forget who did this. It might have been Derek Clausen, who I think is on the football show with Nate Tice. But he's a QB guy and a pretty good one, a good draft analyst, a good guy. And he once compared Geno to Goff, and I don't hate that. Like, if things are good around him, he's going to be good. I think that's a fair assessment of Geno and Goff.
Yeah, no, I think so. That's fair. That is better than the casting call on our skit earlier in the roles of GMs that we played. I can see that one closer than what we did. Yeah. Keeping him uncomfortable. What do you think offensively the Lions have to do?
They need to get everybody involved. J-Mo needs to be more involved in this game plan. It felt like they got away from him a little bit last week, and I wonder if that was deliberate. I wonder if it was because it didn't look like on film that the Cardinals devoted extra resources to him. It just felt like it was more of a Amon-Ra day and Brock Wright day. Brock Wright caught more passes than J-Mo did in that game.
Yep.
Keeping them guessing, keeping them from teeing off. one thing, and I should have mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the game, Goff was back to hitting dudes in stride in this game. Like, they weren't coming back to the ball and catching it and getting whacked.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And the timing on it and the structure and was so much better. And if they can do that, they can score some points on this team.
Yeah,
they need to, because it's a good defense.
I want to see from the offense the gap ability they have. When I say that, it's the deep JMO. It's the Laporta and Amon-Ra show in the middle, and it's the Monty and Gibbs short and wheel routes, and to just stretch them all over the place, because I think that's where, especially when they don't have help, that's where they're going to be the most vulnerable, and that's where we can really tear that up. And once you start pulling them all over like that, that run game is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them so bad. So stretch that field horizontally, vertically. You have the talent to do it. If you do that, that defense, no, I really don't think any defense can counter the talent if we stretch that field that way, in the way that we can with what we have. It's just, we have to do it. And then you can start getting, you don't have to, but you can start getting your little tricky stuff then, and your goof around stuff like we did with the hook and ladder, because I think that really opens that wide up when you get into a spot like that. Defensively,
fullback wheel route to Vaki. Do it.
Yeah. Defensively, absolutely. Gino has to get introduced to Hutch. Hutch has to get hands all over him. And sacks are great. Sacks are great. Don't get me wrong. But as long as Hutch is continually getting his hands on Gino's going to get flippy. He's going to get happy feet. He's going to get.
That's what he does.
Yep. It's exactly
what Goff does.
You just have to touch him. You don't have to get that sack. So just make sure you get a piece of that jersey. Just hand on him and let him know you're there, and almost. And I think that's going to be important. The secondary will be important, but I'm not as worried about them, about the secondary. Pressure is really the name.
I'm worried that Branch isn't going to play. If Branch doesn't play, that's an issue, because DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and they got some dudes, man.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, I know.
Do they even play?
So that's why.
Well, yeah, we do. We drafted Mike Williams.
Derek Williams. Remember that one?
Will Williams.
Oh, my God. I remember him at the Senior Bowl, being asked, because the Lions made this specific intent, we drafted him to be a punt returner. I remember the press conference. And, I remember him at the Senior Bowl, I've never returned a punt in my life. They're putting me back here. I don't know what to do. And that was their sole justification for drafting the dude. 3 months later, I'm like, what the hell have we done?
And
my God, that was bad time.
The beauty of all things black. This weekend, the black uniforms are out. Yeah. Can't wait. They look so good. They look so good, brother.
So I have seen the helmets in person that they're actually going to wear. They're sharp. They do not look like Carolina Panthers helmets when you're in front of them. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, we stole from the Panthers." Come on, at least
they don't look like that in a photo either. That's the silly part. People are really reaching on that one, or they're not really that familiar with the actual Carolina uniforms.
Yeah. Now, I have not seen the actual black uniforms. I've seen people wearing the black jerseys, and I assume they're authentic. They look great. But the black with the black pants, black socks, or it might be actually be blue trim black socks. I don't know that, but I know they have those. It's going to look sweet. And Chris, I was against the black. I wanted them to go slate gray or charcoal instead of going full black uniform, but they did it, and by golly, man, it looks great.
I'll tell you what I'd like. We were talking about nicknames earlier for the defense. I would love to be able to walk out of Monday night with blacked.com is done. How about blacked.net? Because then it's like a net, right?
That probably doesn't sound like something that I want to go to either.
That's what it is. That's the first time Alliance defense out there. Yeah. Just bring it home.
For Dick's Sporting Goods, don't type in dicks.com. Pro tip there. It's not the same. Bad move.
You're definitely going to see a pro tip on that one. More than just a tip. All right, so there you
Oh,
go. Give me a score for this game, Riz, and how do you think it's going to turn out in the end?
For the first time this year, I'm picking the Lions to lose. I think they're going to drop this one because of all the injuries. I think if Branch played, Ragnow played, Barnes played, Aleem played, I think they're the better team. But without those guys, I'm not sure they are. So I think Seattle's going to win by a late field goal, like 24-21, something like that. What do you got?
Traitor. I have only one statistic that I need to put out here. Every time we do a post-game show this year, the Lions win, and we have a post-game show this week. I don't care if it's Monday night. I don't care if it's late. Join us. Victory party, post-game show. We're going to cover a Lions win.
Good.
31-28.
All right. So we both have a field goal game. You've just got Jake Bates making it. I've got whoever their kicker is making it. I don't know who their kicker is.
Footy McFootfoot.
All right, now I got to look it up. Because I should know this. I know who their punter is. All right, where's their
Footy
Seattle
McFootball.
Seahawks? Their kicker is Jason Myers. God, he's been around a long time.
Wasn't he in? Oh, that was Michael Myers. Sorry. All right, with that, like, subscribe. Please hit the like button. If you're here, that now you're watching, you've been watching a little bit, hit that like button. Let people know that we're around. Help find the show. It's odd. We've been doing this for 10 years now, but some people still haven't found the show. And it's because you didn't hit the like button. You should be ashamed of yourself. Sitting there. Oh, Riz is going to unmute himself. Sitting there, just watching, not liking. Get on that button. Do that for us. We appreciate you. Help other people find the show. With that, we're going to call it a show. Riz is already calling it a life. He's about to hack a lung up. Don't forget about us on Patreon. Remember, it's at least $5 a month. We'll get you access to the Slack chat. It's patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. That $5 gets you access to the Slack. $5 or more a month. And you can give less. We absolutely appreciate it. It's a great way to support the show. The money comes directly to us, and it helps us do all the stuff and pay for all the servers and everything else, because we're an independent little business. We don't have a mom and pop overarching company driving this for us. It's Riz and I and Bish and Brown and Ash, Dr. Liao. I mean, it's a club. It's us. So, yeah, the Patreon's a great way to help us out. Also, give us a follow on the Twitter machine at DET Lions Podcast or at Jeff Risden. Make sure not to follow Mr. Tweetson. But at DET Lions Podcast gives you all the show information, lets you know everything you need to know about when we're doing the show, when we're not, if it's late, if we have a special show, a surprise show, something coming up, surprise guest, ding, ding, ding. Let it know, and that's where you're going to find out at DET Lions Podcast. So get on the Twitter. So you can, if you don't like Twitter, you can set it up as a follow and a notification, and then you don't ever have to go to Twitter again, and it'll just pop up on your phone and say, these guys said something smart and witty and very important. So there you go. At DET Lions
Not a
Podcast.
bad way to go about it.
Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Somebody subscribe to the podcast, because when you do that, Riz likes to rub a dub what?
I like to come into your ear holes automatically, but not this week, because I don't want to get you sick. Get your shingle shot. Shingles doesn't care.
Shingle don't care.
I don't have shingles yet. Thank God.
Yes, check out Lions Wire. We got
Yes, thank you.
Giuseppe Risdone working there. He's got some writing going on. We got Dr. Liao kicking stuff out there. We got Russ Brown. We got a nice little relationship.
Can I just say one thing? I love that Dr. Liao's columns do very, very well for Lions Wire. I'm glad that the fan base is open to that type of thing. It's great.
He does well. His
Thank
videos,
you, Dr. Liao.
His podcasts do really well as well. Also, he's got a great sense of humor. He's super, super smart. And that was the conversation we had. It's like, bro, he's doing it a little bit. It's like, we'll help you get a platform and just do your thing. You're really, really good at this. And he's fantastic. He's such a great guy and does such a great job. And his personality.
Genuinely sincere Lions fan too.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Great guy.
I don't know if you saw, he was on TV last week.
I did.
He sat next to Leaf's mom and got the gloves,
know
Leaf's
that.
gloves for his son. It was awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah,
I did not know that. That's cool.
Good things happen to good people. That's what they say.
Oh yeah. Amen to that.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Riz is going to be better. We're going to get rocking and rolling. So. And we're going to be, we'll see you next time. Remember, we're going to do all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to have a win and a post-game show. You got Bish and Brown coming this week. You got Dr. Liao coming this week. Content keeps flowing like a fire hose right down between those lips. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, and no problems. Because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all very, very soon.